In this episode of Detroit Performs, creating jewelry out of graffiti, sculpting the human form, and an artist inspired by sedimentary rock. It's all ahead on this edition of Detroit Performs.
Funding for Detroit Performs is provided by
Masco Corporation is proud to manufacture innovative and environmentally friendly products for the home. Delta faucets, craft-made in Merillat cabinets, and Behr brand paints have all been designed with you in mind. Masco and its family of companies, serving Michigan communities since 1929.
Funding is also provided by the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs, the National Endowment for the Arts, the A. Paul and Carol C. Scott Foundation, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Detroit Performs. Today, I'm on the east side of Detroit, where 555 Arts is getting their new home. Here, they're renovating the building, house, and surrounding areas to create artist living spaces, studios, programs, and experiences that prioritize an artist's needs. Our first segment is all about the creative director here at 555 Arts, Carl Goines, who is a skilled craftsman and sculptor. Take a look.
What I'm hoping people will take away from my work is a sense of beauty and appreciation for the human form. My father was a carpenter, still is, and I got working in his field, just assisting him and working with my hands three-dimensionally. Went to the University of Michigan School of Art and Design. I studied figure sculpture there. I really hadn't dabbled much in sculpting people and working with clay except for some experimental things. But I started working with Lou Marinero, a really fantastic figurative sculptor. And he just kind of made me fall in love with it. As far as my figurative sculpture goes, I think that I'm kind of in a hyper-realism sort of category. Really trying to capture the human form in a way that it's an experience in and of itself. That it's not lifelike, like movie lifelike, where you're seeing every pore and hair in detail. But there's some life that starts to exude from the piece, whether it is a portrait or it's a full figure. And the idea of the body really is something that we can appreciate in all its forms. My passion is more about capturing form and having this experience with a physical form in your presence. The other nuances that come with it, whether it's a different type of body that you may never have seen and exhibited it as a sculpture in a museum or a fine arts gallery, that it's pushing those boundaries a little bit. For me, it's in many ways about creating something beautiful. There are all types of bodies that I think that are beautiful and inspiring. And I think that self-reflection and trying to appreciate myself, having confidence as a person who's making the figure and working with new figures, I think that being comfortable with all types is an important thing that needs to be integrated into our arts. There are many stages to creating a piece, and a lot of times it takes knowing how to build an armature that will then hold the clay on top of it in a way that will structurally sound, and then putting the clay on the piece. At the same time, kind of referring back to your model as far as scale goes, just to make sure that you capture reality in a way that it comes through as a human, that it doesn't have too much of an alien-like form to it. It's crazy hours spent trying to kind of meticulously capture these little elements. The little subtle crevices and wrinkles and things of that sort where the forms meet or the skin folds, to me, are very exciting areas to work on. And as an entire piece, it just adds these elements that your eye travels, your mind travels. You could get a sense of actually how the form feels without touching it, and that brings the life to it. That kind of person will get up off of the seat before you know it kind of feeling. Then making a mold of that, so a lot of tools and steps involved in running different equipment and putting it together to the final stage of casting, ideally in bronze or iron. Right now I'm working on a figurative piece, basically a small model for a larger life-size piece that I'd like to do in the near future. Actually, my kids were taking some classes at the Detroit Flyhouse Circus School here in Eastern Market, and seeing their activities working in hoop, so I struck up a conversation with one of the models and put something together so that I could work with somebody who can take a really dramatic pose and hold that pose and work with me to make a piece from there. You know, to really, again, push the limits of maybe what is being done on a day-to-day basis or you may see in a figurative sculpture piece, and to, you know, capture something with a lot of movement, and it's a beautiful thing to look at as well. I work in 2D as well. I like to draw. A lot of stuff right now is about architectural buildings around me here in Dearborn and Detroit, some of the factories and highways, you know, Boblo boat, things like that that are kind of iconic. You know, I drive around a lot, you know, taking photos and then trying to translate those to a two-dimensional piece, working in charcoals and chalks. And just trying to mix it up a little bit and, you know, not just entirely be a 3D artist, and, you know, be able to go back and forth it keeps things interesting. I also run a nonprofit arts organization called 555 Arts, and our mission is to really provide space for artists to support the arts in a way that they can be shared, educational arts programming, opportunities to exhibit. We have a 30,000 square foot building on the Detroit's east side. It's in the Poletown neighborhood. We've acquired also vacant property adjacent to the building that we're setting up an outdoor foundry and an art park. And we're also renovating a house for artist residents. It's a big project, but we hope to have artist studios, gallery space, classroom space, a maker space for artists and creatives, live workspace, and an art park that will, you know, be able to host events, community arts, education programming, as well as just other community events and private events that we can share the creative space as much as possible. You know, I love what I do. Some days are better than others, but I get to make art. I get to live in a place that's full of art. I have kids that can appreciate it, and you know, my coworkers in the day job can appreciate it, and I get to keep doing it.
.555 Arts will definitely utilize its brick walls for some incredible graffiti murals, which happens to lead right into our next segment. Rubble Nell is a social enterprise that creates jewelry out of fallen graffiti, but it's so much more than that. The organization also empowers the women it employs. See how now.
One of our number 1 rules at Rubble Nell is that you never fall in love with the top layer. It's really what's underneath that's important.
Graffiti is just painted over, painted over, and you have these layers, and everyone has these layers, and once you peel them back, you see different sides of people, different backgrounds, different things that they've been through.
Whoever touched it had her own mind and train of thought when she put it together, so each piece is uniquely different. And I think that's our style.
Rubble Nell started in around March of 2013. Where I was living in Detroit was right next door to COTS. COTS is an amazing organization here in the city, which is abbreviated for the Coalition on Temporary Shelter. It's a women and family only shelter. And I would have conversations with the women, and I learned that these are incredible women who so often left challenging situations in search of a better opportunity, even if it meant going to the shelter. And this was my sort of like aha moment, and I asked my business partner at the time, I said, what if we could provide all the wraparound services, sort of a teach a woman to fish concept? And then what if we could come up with a product that we could employ them, that we could sell, that would then provide all the wraparound services? And then really the concept for Rubble Nell was born then. My business partner and I, Diana, we both had some jewelry making background, and so we thought, what if we could create some Detroit-centric jewelry that would, really pay tribute to the city that we live in, and also, become something cool to wear. And then it wasn't until a run on the DeQuinder Cut when I saw some graffiti on the ground, and that was the light bulb moment for the jewelry.
With every piece of jewelry I create, I put love, energy, affection.
The evolution of Rubble Nell is so much credit is with the actual design team, and taking their thoughts and considerations into how we've changed or evolved our process. They're really to be credited for the quality that it is today.
You actually have creative control. So you can choose your piece of graffiti, and it's all about the person who's making it, because Each one is different, and it's based on our personality.
We start off with a metal sheet, and we draw our shapes on it. After we cut that out, we put our graffiti on. And that's another part that I'm not able to say, that how we get that graffiti to pop so beautiful, but we get it on there as pretty as we can get, and then we actually cut, shape, glue, bind. Then after we get all that part processed, we put this resin on it, which makes it shine. Then we sand our edges, clip our piece, make the back, polish it, pop it, and then we drill this hole in it to put the chains on or do our earrings. We do French hook earrings, post-strap earrings, which is one with the ball, and they also dangle. These signature pendants, this is a large piece. We have medium pieces, and then we have really small pieces.
You're wearing a piece of Detroit. There's a piece of history that we've done a great job of being able to encapsulate and preserve. And you know, most of the time it's on silver or brass, depending on your price point, your interest. But you certainly will have a piece that will last you, that you could pass down for generations to come and share in that piece of Detroit. My true mission of why we do Rubble Nell is to provide a transitional opportunity for the women that we hire. We are looking for women who have a desire to change their situation, can work well with others, and a willingness to learn. One of the things I've learned about running Rubble Nell and interacting with all of our incredible employees is just how broken the system really is, and especially the challenges if you're a single mother in trying to maintain a job, right? And you don't have that support system.
I ended up at COTS because unemployment said they overpaid me $4,500. They garnished me for all of my income taxes, including the unemployment which I was receiving, which led to my homelessness.
Brenda is a blessing for this planet. There's nobody who has had a more optimistic and positive attitude, even when life hands her a lot of challenges. And we've experienced quite a few of those with her. And just to see her put on that face of perseverance.
Sometimes just the thought of where I come from and to where I'm going could bring a tear to my eye, but it's a positive tear.
Michelle, she is the little spark plug that we have here at Rubble. She's hilarious. She's gonna go very far. This is just a stepping stone for her.
I seriously am a lot better now than I was.
We have this T program, which is to teach, educate, and achieve. I didn't consider about credit scores, fixing my accounts, what kind of accounts I could have, secured loans, and all those kind of things were taught to me through the T program. I'll be working on home ownership, which is another thing that the T program, working here just opened my eyes to a lot, so I'll be a homeowner really soon.
They really helped me become more self-sufficient and lead me on the correct path and stay on it. This is more like a family setting more than anything, and that's why I love it here.
We also think that the women we employ are really rebelling against what life's dealt to them, and we're dealing with graffiti, which is rebellious in and of itself. And we also wanted to pay tribute to a woman who was a trailblazer before us, Eleanor Roosevelt, and everything she stood for. Her nickname that her dad gave her was Little Nell. We think she is certainly worthy of a stronger nickname, and that's how we came up with Rubble Nell.
Everybody who does graffiti all throughout the city of Detroit, before they had these projects, was considered rebels. People do look at me who went through homelessness, oh, she was rebellious, she didn't follow the rules, she didn't do what she was supposed to do to get there. So when I get that graffiti, I get to change it into something awesome that you never knew somebody that was a rebel could do something so great.
When you look forward to going to work, that's when you found your niche. You come in and we're just happy.
We're cousins. I tell everybody that. That's really what I say. We are all cousins here, and we share food, ideas, thoughts. It's a plus.
I know that most of the purchasers understand how special a piece of Rubble Nell really is. And again, going back to not only because it's one of a kind and through the cross-section of graffiti, but also because of the woman who made it and what that really is doing to make a difference is really powerful. It stands that you believe in empowering women. It stands for you believe in promoting equality and making a difference in this world.
We show people that we're women transitioning out of homelessness, and we can do this. It's never too late to focus on your dreams and do whatever it is you feel like you want to do.
In this outdoor space, 555 Arts is creating an art park for public installations and a foundry for creating new works. I'm excited to see what it'll look like when it's complete. Now, let's check out some upcoming events happening in and around the D. With every brushstroke, Laura Leigh Lanchantin bonds with the earth by painting landscape portraits that capture the countryside. Let's check out some of her interesting works.
What I focus on is plein air, which is the French word for in the open air, and it is a art term for painting outside from life.
I like to do everything locally sourced, so the painting I'm going to do today is of a landscape using the actual land. The waterfall spots are really the best for this kind of work. So here I have a little piece of iron oxide shale that I just found in the stream bed. I'm going to crush it using a mortar and pestle. Now we have more of a powdery substance. Next step is to sift it using a little kitchen sifter. And now we have some powdered pigment. So I use the shale rock and then I also use soil. So there's the stone pigments and then there's also earth pigments. And it's really that red color that I'm looking for that I can find locally here in the Catskills. The whole purpose of my art is the connection with land and the connection with landscape. And using the pigments is just a way of furthering that connection and that collaboration with the earth and nature and really like the raw source of our existence here as humans. And you know, I'm really focused on the energy of a place, and the pigments is just a way of kind of capturing that energy in a tangible form.
It's really interesting to come in as a total outsider and not know anybody. You know, it's a very small town. Tannersville is a very small town, and you know, people have gotten to know me by seeing me on the side of the road painting, and I couldn't have asked for a better supportive outcome for that. My work is up in most of the shops here on Main Street, Tannersville. I've sold a lot of landscapes to the local hotels, which is a very big marketplace. And a big push for that has been the barn board frames that a lot of my paintings are in. My dad makes the frames. His name is Bill Lanchantin. And these barn board frames come from the old barns on my family's farmland. So these barns are like 1800s, you know, it's very old wood, has a lot of energy locked into them. They just kind of make the art seem whole and complete. I've really gained a lot of support, which I'm very grateful for. There's just something very special about the Catskills, the art history that's here, the music history that's here. It's a really profound place.
Here we are, this is my favorite spot to paint in the Catskills. We're still in Platte Clove, and the reason I like this spot so much is because of the stream and the way the stream is moving and the correlation with the stream and the mountains. And I'm really into the water scenes because the whole idea of the stream and the water as a metaphor. So the, you know, the mystery of where the water's going. And I really love this dark spot right here. and how that just like creates this mystery of, you know, disappearing into nothing. I really think that my paintings are supposed to be metaphorical. I'm really into the whole idea of metaphor. It's kind of like a modern take on Hudson River School painting. It's more dark and mysterious and kind of goes along with the times that we live in and society and growing up being my age. And kind of building off of that, that's kind of why I like to paint with the earth and bring it back to that whole primitive essence. Especially nowadays when everyone in my generation is so affected by the media, and I feel like it's hard to know what's real and what's not. And this is something that's just very real.
And that wraps it up for this edition of Detroit Performs. As always, for more arts and culture, head to DetroitPerforms.org, where you'll find featured videos, blogs, and information on upcoming arts events. Also, check us out on Facebook and Twitter. I'd like to thank 555 Arts for having us out here at their new location and for bringing another unique space to this city and its residents. Until next Tuesday, get out there and show the world how Detroit performs, y'all. I'm DJ Oliver. Thanks for watching, guys.
Funding for Detroit Performs is provided by
Masco Corporation is proud to manufacture innovative and environmentally friendly products for the home. Delta faucets, craft-made in Merillat cabinets, and Behr brand paints have all been designed with you in mind. Masco and its family of companies, serving Michigan communities since 1929.
Funding is also provided by the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs, the National Endowment for the Arts, the A. Paul and Carol C. Scott Foundation, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.